Have you ever wondered why this UFO phenomenon has been around for so long? Where did it come from? Why is it considered a conspiracy? Seems strange that it still exists after so many decades. Today, we're going to answer those questions.
Last year, the Pentagon made an extraordinary statement. They said that UFOs are real and it has videos to prove it. The US government's policy used to be to deny and discredit when it came to UFOs. So how did we get to where we are today?
Indeed, how did we get to where we are today? Former Pentagon official Lou Elizondo has been on the forefront of trying to reveal the government's active role in covering up UAP evidence. But it hasn't been without difficulty, as Lou is required to maintain his oath of secrecy. He is slowly revealing what he knows through hypothetical scenarios.
Is there another reason outside of national security that they don't want you to disclose what you may disclose, or they're worried you may?
Yeah, I mean,
what is their worry outside of that?
there have been, forbidden truths, we can call them, if you will. There have been forbidden truths in the history of not just our country, but many countries. Truths that could upset a balance that's been around for a long time. Let me give you case in point. Let's say there were some people that were doing their job by running a UFO program in the past, but because certain things happened, presidents were no longer briefed, people in Congress were no longer briefed who should have been, and now they're running an operation that's considered rogue, but it's still an important mission. It turns out, all of a sudden now, let's say hypothetically, the cat's out of the bag. What's going to happen to those people when the government realizes they were running operations, for better or for worse, without any oversight, without any legal oversight, right? Who's going to be held accountable for that? The fact that they did not brief legally like they were supposed to certain members of Congress and committees and oversight committees and their chain of command. That's potentially criminal action. Let's say, I've said this before, let's say you have two competing companies. You have Aerospace Company A and Aerospace Company B. And Aerospace Company A, for whatever reason, gets a favor and some sort of really exotic, game-changing material is provided to that company to do an analysis. Meanwhile, Company B, who is competing fairly, doesn't get that material. Turns out Company A now starts getting a lot of contracts, defense contracts, and becomes a multi-billion-dollar company, while Company B, who never had the advantage of having that material, goes into bankruptcy. Hundreds of people lose their jobs, and stockholders lose their investment. Keeping in mind that both companies are supposed to be treated fairly and have fair competition when it comes to U.S. government contracts. Now what? Now what happens? Where's the liability? And by the way, now these companies are doing good things for the United States, but they got there because they had an unfair advantage, competitive advantage, potentially. Again, I'm not. This is hypothetical, right? Where's the liability there? You're talking about trillions and trillions of dollars worth of liability. And who made those decisions to do that? Who's going to be held culpable for that? The Security Exchange Commission would not be very happy to know that two publicly traded companies that were competing for a contract, one had an unfair advantage, the other went bankrupt. That's a problem. That's a real problem. And so you're talking about big money interests. You're talking about things that are going into that gray world that go beyond just government interests. You're talking about banking. You're talking about, some of the biggest names on the planet that have a lot to lose or a lot to gain in hindsight. So, I think we always have to be careful that governments have always had interesting ties to certain interests, and that's true of all governments. That's not just the U.S. That's everybody. And we need to be mindful of that, because you could be putting some people in a very uncomfortable position. And I'm aware of that. And that's why I've been very delicate how I approach this topic. I'm not trying to beat anybody up. I'm not trying to expose anybody and say, ha, gotcha, see there. I'm trying to have the conversation in a collaborative, meaningful way where everybody wins. Nobody has to get burned.
Of course, this hasn't been without difficulty.
What kind of pushback have you gotten there from your colleagues, from the public, from the ufology community? Can you talk about the struggles you've had to be able to bring that message forward?
Look, first of all, I don't want anybody to feel sorry for me. I'm a big boy. I made my own decisions. I've been through wars. So I'm not asking anybody to feel pity or mercy on me. What I would impart on anybody who wants to make this journey is be very careful. You will be surprised the pushback that you might receive, both internally from the U.S. government and even externally to the ones that you're trying to help. Let me break it down for you. So in the U.S. government, I've been threatened. I've had my files erased and my records erased. Despite there being an actual court order, preservation order in place for my files regarding other portfolios, all my files have been deleted and erased. There has been an active attempt to discredit me, hold my security clearance at bay, and try to use that so I can no longer engage the U.S. government. There's been attempts to discredit me and whatnot, and it's been very tough. Fortunately, though, I've had some significant allies. These allies are people who knew what I was doing, who were part of this effort for a very long time. I have some friends on the Hill that are very well aware of my activities. There were senior members in the Department of Defense that also came to my defense and said, hey, look, he is who he says he is. He was briefing us on a regular and routine basis. And I had friends like Senator Harry Reid, who knew very well what I was doing for him. And it's been tough. The reason why I haven't come out and just, if you will, told everybody everything I knew to protect myself is that's not the guy I am. I'm not going to burn sources and throw people under the bus just to protect my own skin when things get hot. That's not the way I do business. As far as the UFO community, I'm surprised. I thought I was doing them a service by coming out and having this conversation publicly and letting people know what I know up to the point where I don't violate my secrecy oath. On the contrary, I've noticed there's been a tremendous amount of pushback. This has been particularly hard on my family because I left everything behind. I left pensions and retirement and everything and walked away from a very, very good career that I spent my life, going up through the ranks. To have a conversation about this topic and tell the truth. So that would be my word of advice to anybody in government right now that might be seeing this. Hey, you know what? History is going to judge you, and you've got a choice: be on the right side or the wrong side of history. If I were you, I would do some serious soul searching right now, because the truth is inevitable. It's imminent. It's coming. And history will look back and will judge your actions.
Fascinating choice of words, wasn't it? Truth, right and wrong, soul searching, truth is coming, and judgment. Lou feels this cover-up has absolutely a moral error of judgment for all governments involved. And in some ways, it seems that he is right. Or is he? Let's take 2 steps back for a moment and think about this whole scenario. Demonic spirits set up a scenario to create strange phenomenon near government agencies. The phenomenon had characteristics of demonic activity. So Christian leadership did the right thing and ignored it. But that ignoring turned into lying about its occurrences through slippery moral scenarios. And now it has been ignored for so long that officials like Lou Elizondo are using these moral falls as footholds to reveal its activity. Please continue to send me interesting clips about this phenomenon to bradburnham@protonmail.com, and I will continue to share everything that I have found and others have sent me with you. Stay safe, stay tuned in, because just like you saw in the last video, this is about to get crazy. See you all right here real soon.